Hi, this is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert, and welcome back to my podcast, The Morning Mood, my little moodies. And I am here today with Chaz, and we met 5 or 6 years ago, and you were my sales coach for a while, trying to help me build my pipeline and just in general kind of figure out what sales was all about because I was a bit lost. And you helped me a lot with crafting my message and really building my confidence in that space. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you were a great student, and I remember some of your celebrations to this day. It's fresh in my mind.
Yes, we
Great to
did
be
have
here.
celebrations. We did. It's awesome. Well, thanks for being here with us today. We're excited to hear about your greatest lesson. But tell us a little bit about you and how you got where you are today.
Right. So when I first got into sales, I was the worst, absolute worst. 119 out of 119 salespeople. And I mean,
That is the
zero
bottom.
zip. Yeah, zero zip, not a sales. It was a 100% commission. And so I remember sitting in my car one rainy day in Northern California, just thinking, man, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to provide my family. And around that time in the rain, there was a glow from my dashboard. My empty light came on, and I looked at that and I thought, that's exactly how I felt. And so my boss called me later that day. He sensed I was down, handed me over for dinner, and he spoke three words that really changed my life. He said, Chaz, well, actually, my name and the three words following, you can be. Now, he followed that with the top salesperson in the company, but just having a boss who became a mentor at that instant spoke life into me, saying, I can be.
Hmm.
And then he said, the top salesperson, you got to follow the system in the process. So he drilled that in. A month later, I went from 119 to number three, $14,000 roughly in commissions.
Holy crap.
And yeah, this is a while back too. Um, that's adjusted for inflation. And then so I set on a journey over the next 3 decades to be in sales, and people always ask me, "Hey, help Jim or Kathy or Melvin with sales." And so in 2016, I started my business to help with sales, but I learned quickly that people didn't know how to identify and attract. So I developed my LinkedIn strategy and then the sales process so people can identify, attract, and then the sales to convert prospects into clients.
Hmm.
And so that's a little bit of my journey, and obviously not all the details, but that was the thing that changed my life from my boss, Ken Upton, who became my mentor way back when, uh, to working with a lot of different places where I'm like, like working for anyone else to starting my business. I'm like, yay, I'm free,
Hmm.
freedom.
Yeah.
So that's where I am today. There's been some transitions as we talked before we started the broadcast, Kimberly, with where I am in my business now.
Yeah. But you're doing something new soon, right? You're on a new venture. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah,
You
big
want to tell us
time.
about it?
Yeah, I got to the place where I'm like, it's for everyone out there. I think you're going to be able to relate to this. If you have experience in something and you want to start a business, then it just makes sense to where your experience and expertise is. That's just makes sense. It's common sense. How can you start a business if you don't have experience or expertise in it? You know? And I know there's people out there that are life coach and 22-year-old life coaches and whatnot.
I just had a whole
Uh,
podcast on this.
did you really? So,
I was like, you cannot be a coach at 22. You have just
yeah.
literally not had enough life experience. I don't
Well,
care
for
how many
22
books
year
you've
olds,
read.
right. So for 22-year-olds, maybe, but
Yes.
there's so many people getting in the business that don't have an expertise.
Yeah.
So I was really struggling. We just talked about Benjamin Hardy, and I just got his new book that's out, The Science of Scaling. It just came into my mail yesterday. But his book before that was 10X is easier than 2X.
Hmm.
I went through a couple of his challenges where it's about 10Xing something in 90 days. It makes you look at things more strategically. And so I wrote my book and I was building my YouTube channel, and I'm like recreating my offer. I'm just like, I was struggling because I was listening to people like Alex Hormozy, who said, if you're looking at something new, that shiny object syndrome, you just need to double down. I'm like, well, this is Alex Hormozy, so who am I to, but, he's also 33, 34. So he has a different perspective than
Right.
me, you know? And so it's like, if I am not passionate about something, I don't want to do it. And I
Yeah.
was losing my passion for what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I came across a book. I really spent a lot of time praying and reading through God's word and seeking advice. And I got this book that a friend referred to me called Fearless Living by Jamie Winship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a book where you just like, hey, read through the book. And I consume most of my books through Audible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was listening to it, I'm like, wow, this is kind of like that missing the gap in my life. Cause he talked about your God-given identity, your identity. And I was looking for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But when you understand your identity, your purpose will flow from that identity. And so through that journey and that experience, I realized that my identity is a giver of life or to speak life into other people. And so I bought a license to Jamie's course. He has the identity exchange,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about helping other people discover their God given identity. So I did a trial with several entrepreneurs. And then out of that, I started writing these mini novels based on a lot of it was stories about me.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first time in my life, I wasn't saying, hey, look at me. Because that's where my identity came from, my ego and with content and
Ah.
whatnot. I was using a character that was maybe a situation I faced, but it was just, so I just really doubled down and I write one of these mini novels each week. I didn't know where to put it. So I put it on a newsletter on LinkedIn called God's Design for Founders. And so it's about a story that people are struggling, they're down and they're like out there and everything falling apart. Then all of a sudden they discover their identity and they make a shift and then they change just like I did and I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
now. So now I'm taking people through a journey so that they can discover their identity, their God given identity, and start to live from that so they
Mm-hmm.
can have. The be is who you are, the
Yeah.
do is out of your identity, and then you have based on who you are, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I
Yes.
stole that from Myron Golden, if you know who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where
Perfect.
I am. That's where I am today.
It's beautiful story that you talk about. I talk a lot about what you're speaking about in my podcast and some of my earlier episodes. And I don't come at it from the God-given identity piece of it, but I come at it from from a point of view that when you're doing something that resonates with you, that and I said it earlier and I hate to say this because people confuse it, but there is almost, I want to say feels good, but it's more than that. And I bet Chaz, you know what it is. There is something that happens when you are doing what is truly your purpose. There's almost like a wholeness that you feel. And it's
Mm,
not necessarily what you thought that you would be doing.
right. Yes. It's alignment.
Yes.
Yeah. A wholeness. It's all of those things and more. And I think about it now. I wasn't like before when my hey, I'm thinking about I could change this, I could do this. It was all about I wanted to get to this place. And I looked at myself because I worked for other people most of my life. So I was getting what my life should look like
Yes.
based on successful people,
Yes.
which is it was all
It's not
about
it.
things and stuff. It was nothing's wrong with that, but there's much more. It's how you're transforming people's life and enjoying the journey along the way. And if you're serving people, then all the other stuff will fall into place.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. 100% agree with everything you're saying. But it is hard. I do want to
Mhm.
recognize that it is so difficult to reshape yourself, to reshape what you talk about your identity, right? To like I actually just recorded a podcast this morning and I talk about the existential crisis I had on the conference floor of the D3 conference in New York City after I left corporate and I started my own company. This is what happened. Somebody walked up to me and they said, "Hi, I'm a vice president or whatever from such and such a company. Who are you?" And I was like, "Who am I? I don't
Oh my
work for a
goodness.
big company anymore. I'm not the vice president of whatever for whatever anymore. I'm just Kim." And it was like,
Right.
it was an existential crisis. Like, I'm like, who am I? What is my identity? I had become so wrapped up in the corporate identity, I lost who I was.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah. So it's
Been there, done
hard.
that.
Do you wanna talk a little bit about what it takes or kind of some of the steps it takes to kinda walk away from it? And then we're gonna get your greatest lesson. I don't wanna lose time for that, but
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
wanna talk
yeah.
about
So
it?
yeah, so the last 2 years have been two of the most difficult years in my life. And like anyone, I've had some big challenges in my life, but
Mhm.
it was here's our biggest battle. It's up here.
Yeah.
And so as you get older, you get more set in your ways and it's more difficult to make changes. And so I'm struggling with, okay, I'm not passionate about what I'm doing. I want to change. And so there's fear that I'm facing and I'm doing new things. I'm writing my book. I work on my YouTube channel. I'm creating a collaboration community. I'm doing all these different things because I have a value set in my mind that or clarity comes from execution.
Mhm.
So it's taking me all over the place, but it wasn't until that book was shared with me and I'm like, but it wasn't like all of a sudden the clouds separated,
Oh,
the sun
no.
shone down, and it's like, yeah, it was it was a long, grueling process. Many times on my knees, crying out to God. It's like, what am I here? What do I do? Should I do this? Tell me. I
Yeah.
want to know I want to know what I need to do. This is not working. This is not working.
Yeah.
And I just felt lost. And so I don't have a formula laid out for people to go A, B, C, D. And I think it's a little bit different for everyone else, but it's similar. The thing that I came to terms with is I need to stop seeing the world through how I usually see the world and start observing. And as people would share things with me, I would be not so rigid because everything with my
Ah.
sales and marketing, I had a system and I had a process, and someone didn't fit into that system. I disregarded them. True. So now I was more open and I was listening and learning from other people. My good friend Kelly shared that book with me, the Fearless. Um, what was the name of the book from Jamie Winship? Um, and so I consumed that, and it really spoke to me. And I just went really, really, really deep, and then started doing some different things. And here's one of the things that helps, and it goes to the execution, bringing clarity. Many times, you ever have a thought and it's like, hey, call so and so and talk to them about this new idea that you have in 4 in the morning, but then you wake up, it's like that idea was stupid.
Right.
Many times that idea isn't stupid.
Brilliant.
It's stupid because you start seeing that idea through the fear and the world and the confusion and all the distractions. But at 4 in the morning, that idea, you're not, your judgment isn't it isn't clouded with all the distractions going on. So I started acting on these little thoughts about talk to so and so, talk to so and so. Like today, I was in the convenience store and I'm doing it. One of the things of my transformational journey is speak life into people. So I was at Devin was there at the convenience store. I'm like, Devin, what's your dream? She's like, I have a dream. The other guy said, not to work here. So she goes, I want to be a nurse and I want to have a condominium and I want to have property and I want to marry. She didn't say marry, but I want to meet a good person. I'm like, that's cool. Next time I come in, I want to learn what you did from that.
Yeah.
So it was just that thought and that idea where you start getting out of your comfort zone and start living in your true identity and start acting on those thoughts, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Awesome. I love it. Great advice. All right. So, what is your greatest lesson? Now, you have learned a lot of lessons, if we've established, but if you had to pick one, what do you think is your greatest lesson and how have you applied it to your success? Well, I know it's a rough one.
Yeah, it's got to be the really understand your identity. You know, whether you believe in God or not, you have an identity and there's something that you, I fully believe, are created in this unique area that's different than anyone else in the history of the world.
Yes.
And there's not like a simple formula like, bam, we're Kimberly and myself, we're talking about our journey and our struggle. And it's in that journey and in that struggle. I was just meeting with my mindset coach earlier. He goes, it's not a challenge, Chaz, it's an opportunity. So
Mhm.
as I was facing these opportunities, I realized that there was a door that I can walk through that can open up a whole new world, or I could stay in my old perspective and see the world as it usually was, which will keep me in mediocrity. So now that I thought of it, it's living, and I'll write a book someday. I get to, that will be the name of the book. If you have a get to mindset and perspective, you see the world differently. And most of my life is about living a life of I have to. I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Oh, little
Gotta meet with so and so.
let's dig
So
into that. Let's get it because I get to a little bit different. So tell me more about what I get to means.
yeah. So in 2020, I got extremely sick. I got
Yeah.
immunity, and I was just dealing with this stuff. I still to this day, but as I finally got to the place, like I'm gonna lose my business. I'm gonna lose everything. I was in bed for like 6 months. And I mean, I got out to use the restroom and whatnot, but it was like $12, $14 a day I had to sleep. And so I remember in bed one day, I was had tears rolling down my cheeks. It was joy. And why was it joy? Because I shifted my focus from all the things that I have to do, all right, and I couldn't do, or the things I didn't have, my health, to realizing I could see, I could hear, I can taste, I have all my five senses. So that opportunity, as Clifford, my mindset coach would say, is I had an opportunity to experience the joy in the moment for all that I had and I got to do. And I started thinking, hey, I got my son, I have my daughter, I have all these different things, and I'm going to make it and I'm going to grow through here. So I started focusing on all the things that I have and I get to do. I mean,
Yes.
just a simple thing like my dog, my CFO, my chief fun officer.
Yeah.
I brush your teeth every morning. And I used to say, oh man, I gotta
I
brush your
gotta
teeth this
brush your
morning.
teeth.
Right.
Um,
I get to brush her teeth
brush
because if she
your
wasn't
teeth.
here,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to brush. You have a dog, you understand this. I
Yes.
wouldn't have to brush her teeth, but I would be sad because she's a huge part of my life because my kids are gone.
That is so
So I get to
profound.
instead of I have to.
And here's the thing, is it's just one word. The one
Mm.
word is such a mind shift. And I go through this too. Like I'll get low and kind of depressed and I'll be like, "Oh, I got to do this and oh, I got to do that. Oh, I have to call so and so." And it doesn't feel good and I'm really feeling kind of crappy. And I know it shows up, by the way, little tip out there for anybody who wants to start a podcast. You will see yourself on bad days. Just letting you know it shows up on the
Yes.
camera. You can't hide it from the camera. But so I would get
Hmm.
kinda low, right? And be like, "I have to do this, I have to do that." But you're right, when I could shift it to be like, "Today, I get to talk to Chaz, I get to make a recording, I get to do this, I get to do that, I get to do some yoga." It definitely shifts your mindset.
Big time. Yeah. It's the words we tell ourselves and the questions we ask ourselves that determine the direction of our lives. And this that shift I get to as opposed to I have to, it makes you see things, and it's all about our perception of the
It
world, our
is.
perspective.
And and I think the other thing that happens, we talked about the hamster wheel and the wanting all that stuff because you and I have both been in that big corporate environment and we ran down that path. Like I did it. I have got copious amounts of shoes to prove it. So we've all been there, right? We've been down
Uh-huh.
that path. Um, but once you can step away from it, it
Mm.
changes you almost don't need it anymore. Would you say that's an accurate
Yeah.
description?
Yeah. You realize the emptiness of it all as because your perspective changes and you have I don't know, enlightened perspective, but you just have a better perspective. You're seeing through the world. It's like looking at the world through a lens that has a bunch of dirt and mud, and you can't see it because your lens is
Yeah,
dirty.
yeah.
So when you start cleaning it by your perspective and your perception being more correct,
Yeah.
then you see things as like, wow, look at all that I
All the
have. Look at all
amazing
that I
things.
do.
A view I call it the point of view of abundance because we can have 2
Really?
points of view, right? A view of abundance or a view of not having enough, right? And I think that's where we go through our lives. We spend a lot of time, I don't have enough, I need more, I need more, I need a newer car, I need a better refrigerator, I need all these things and I will finally be happy. But once we kind of can shift to a point of view of abundance and see that we already have so much,
Man.
we just need to appreciate what we have.
Yeah, in the Western world, it's because I lived in that scarcity mindset for much of my
Yeah.
life, and we have so much. The thing is, if you have and you don't give,
Yes.
this is like a stream. It's fresh because water keeps going. But if you just have a reservoir where the water just sits there, it becomes a stench and
Beautiful.
poisonous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way as you're receiving, you have to give.
And it
If you don't do
flows.
that, then you just become full of a bunch of things and it will cloud your judgment.
That is beautiful. I've never heard it put that way. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't even have words. A reservoir versus a stream. I love it. Very good.
Boom.
Awesome. As always, thank you. You always have had the most amazing insights and have always been so soulful and connected and really there for other people. I have always felt like you've given me your best, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it was when I saw you reach out about this podcast, I was excited for you because you're doing something new.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad and honored to be here. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank
Great to
you.
see
All
you.
right. Thanks.